So, fun fact, I kind of created this idea long before Avatar The Promise or anything following that came out. And I'm not complaining or anything, I was just like, I thought of this long before the comic ever happened. Just saying. Anyway, so today I'm going to on fanfiction ideas. I'm going to talk about an old story I wrote, and it's kind of left it behind. But it was this huge story, this story that would actually be like kind of like a aftermath. It was an Avatar aftermath story, because in fanfiction there was a lot of that right after the series end. And the big thing with this was that in this story is that it was actually going to be two stories, and they were going to be like sister stories to one another, in that they would complement each other in different terms. And one would focus more on Zuko and his group, and the other side would focus on Aang and his group. So, yeah, that was kind of the idea. And you can see why I kind of lost interest, because I thought I was a good enough writer to think I could do two stories at once and try to coincide continuity, even if it's my continuity, even if I'm making my own continuity as I go along. What the fuck was I thinking? Anyway, so let's talk a bit about the one I really focused on the most, which was Zuko's task force. And that's not really the name of the story. That wasn't really the name of the story, but I couldn't really think of a good title for a name for Zuko's team, so I just thought of Zuko's task force. And let's face it, that's what something Sokka would call, which oddly enough, Sokka's on this team. So in this story is that in this and keep in mind this was long before The Promise or anything following that came up. So in this story, it's about 6 to 8 months after the events of the series finale, and Zuko is still Fire Lord. He's still fresh at it, and he's still doing a lot. But there's a problem. A lot of the Fire Nation generals and backers and financiers really don't like Zuko, and in fact, kind of broken off, and much like the Imperial Remnant, have kind of either made their own groups or fighting amongst themselves in civil wars, and Zuko can't get, Zuko's trying his best to get his shit together, while at the same time trying to keep his father and sister locked up, so people can not break them out and use them to essentially use them to rally more support for their sides. And they're more interested in getting Azula out than Ozai, because they're like, yeah, the Avatar took your bending, and you're kind of just, rotting in a prison. Fuck you. So, yeah, they're more... But there are some who want to get Ozai out, and the other half, and others want to get Azula out. So Zuko, knowing that this is not going... this problem needs to be fixed, and there's a lot of shit going on in his own kingdom, and stuff that he needs to work on, and stuff that Aang could not... Aang would have to be like, well, maybe we could just talk to him, or something like that. And yeah, I know Aang can use force when need be, but it would these are people who are literally butchering hundreds of people in this war, and Zuko needs a final solution, a solution to get rid of, to stop these people, because if he doesn't do something, the Fire Nation's going to tear itself apart via civil war. And he doesn't want that. So Zuko comes to the conclusion of, I need my own group of people who can work outside of the law, who can work outside of the jurisdiction, and someone who, people who I can trust, and people who know when to cross the line, I need people who can deal in these kind of absolutes. So Zuko puts his own team, his own little, X-Force type team, to go out and carry out missions to stop the this Fire Nation remnant and remaining groups try to his best to stop this from tearing his country apart. So the team he puts together consists of himself, May, because of course May would work, would be there, Longshot, Pipsqueak, the Duke, Smellerbee. Not Pipsqueak and Duke, I'm sorry. It was just Smellerbee and Longshot, now that I remember. It was, Longshot and Smellerbee join that group, and as well as Suki and Sokka. And Sokka and Suki are pretty much like, we don't know if we want to do this, Zuko. This is this seems like not, this is kind of crossing some lines, but at the same time, they're both aware that there are some problems that Aang can't just make go away because he's the Avatar. There are some things that need to be taken out, and taken out for good. And I even had it that Sokka does have a problem with Aang letting Ozai live. Like, he was like, you should, this is exactly what I told Aang, would happen. You let him live, and now people are using him as a as a rallying point. And the same thing with Azula. I know she's your sister, Zuko, but this is exactly what I thought would happen. They're using your dad and your sister as something to rally behind to bring it back. If we had just killed these people, our problems, I'm not saying they'd go away, but it'd be a lot less. There wouldn't be so many fanatics. Also, funny enough to link, in mention to Smoke and Shadows, one of the people who were part of this group of Fire Nation remnants was May's dad, who has no problem killing his ass. So that was kind of the idea, is that they are this X-Force type team where they go out, kill people, and cover. Since Zuko's the Fire Lord, he can wrap this shit up. Meanwhile, on the outside, you've got Aang's team, which is more like they're doing the outside work without Zuko's knowledge of this happening. Without them knowing of Zuko and Zuko's team. So, Aang's team, because, Sokka and Suki had to come up with a lie, basically saying, hey, we're going to stay in the Fire Nation and help clean shit up. You guys go out, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So Aang's team consisted of Aang, Katara, Toph, Ty Lee, and I think, was it Haru I had in there? I think it was Haru. It's been a while since I've thought of this, but yeah, it was Haru. That's where I put Pipsqueak and Duke. So yeah, they were kind of like the Justice. They were more like the Avengers, just fighting for, to keep the world united after everything that happened in the 100-Year War. And meanwhile, you've got Zuko and his X-Force. I would say Secret Avengers, but X-Force fucking killed people, and that's what they're doing in that story, is fucking killing people. So that was kind of the idea I had, was that they are working outside of it. And even Iroh, who's aware of this, like, this is not cool. You're supposed to lead, a true king would lead his people in the open. And you're kind of not doing that right now. So, what's the problem? The major thing with this was that I did have an idea where the two stories would kind of coalesce in like a mini event where they're both hunting the blue spirit. They're hunting the blue spirit, and there's a new one. Yeah, it's a new blue spirit, and they don't know who it is. As it turns out, it's Jet, who's come back from the frickin' dead. Jet has been resurrected by a dark spirit. He's been resurrected by a dark spirit who's using him as like a avatar of sorts to bring about basically be like he's kind of like, I wouldn't say like Avatar in the sense of like Aang, but more like Herald. Herald's the better word, like the Silver Surfer, where he would go out and make it so this dark spirit can come into reality. And this is where Aang would find out about Zuko's team and Sokka and Suki's involvement, and kind of be like, what the hell, guys? I thought we were family, and I thought we were cool. What the fuck? So, that was kind of the idea, really. But, like I said, it was kind of a too big story to handle, so I was kind of made a too big to fail kind of scenario. But if anyone wants to write this, be my frickin' guest. Just saying. I really like the idea of like, because Zuko seems like he would do that. I feel like Zuko at some point would be like, yeah, Aang's peace-loving thing is really good, and I really appreciate it, but there are some people I know my culture, I know my people, and they are really shitty that, they need to be taken down for good. And I think May would be, okay, I think May would definitely support that. And the group I thought of for this team, because I really had to think about it, who would really back Zuko if he's decided, I'm going to make a off-the-books team, Black Ops team, to kill people? So, who would join him? And I really thought about who in the Avatar universe would join him in that. And I did think about other characters, like maybe have the Hippo and Boulder on his side, but I was like, maybe not. Smellerbee and Longshot, yeah, they'd be totally fine with killing people, you know, as long as it's Fire Nation people. May, totally down for it. Sokka and Suki, like I said, would be kind of against it. They would be at first, but then Sokka, I feel like they both would understand, yeah, some people just need to get killed, you know, some of these people need to die. So that was kind of the idea that was kind of the train of thinking. And besides, I think Sokka and Zuko would really trust one another. So I think he would be like, yeah, you wouldn't do this unless you knew what you were doing, Zuko, so I'm in. But Sokka would definitely, like, voice his opinions every now and again, like, maybe we shouldn't do this, and yeah, he would definitely be the idea guy of the team. He would definitely be the major idea guy of the team. Also, notice how Zuko's the only real bender on the team. Yeah, Zuko was the only bender on this little task force team. So, yeah, it was mostly, yeah, like blades and daggers, and Zuko could just blast out a firebolt every now and again. So, there you go, guys. That's kind of my idea. That was kind of my idea, but like I said, it wasn't even canon to begin with. What the fuck am I saying? So, yeah, that was kind of my idea for how I would have done Avatar: The Last Bender as a continuation outside, because again, the comics hadn't come out yet. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of this? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? And if you could put a team together with Avatar characters, who would you have? Hope you all enjoyed this. I'm out.